An 8 on 2 dice. A 6, I missed it. The round will increase, which means I'm going to take a -1 penalty now for the moment. Trying to traverse the decks, the world card. How about if I go to ship battles here? World, a fluke explosion or mishap on the boarded vessel. Player, when repulsing. Next minor card is treated as barrage damage. Inverted, the fluke also injures the selecting player. I am knocked down with a vicious wound. Oh, that is called a take blow. Wow. So the ship was probably a trap. Another trap, a fire ship that just suddenly burst into flames and blew up. Wow. Well, on the positive note, we'll take our ship engagements and mutinies and actions at sea. And we're 1 check away. But on the negative action, I was down with a vicious wound. Now, I could be captured here. We'll have to see.
The last of the enemy deserted their ship, signaled by the cry of a bugle. I buckled over in the blast, my eyes filled with soot, and I could smell the ensuing fire. The enemy's hold was roaring like a furnace. I crawled away from what I felt as heat. There was no time to think ahead and wonder what I would do if I ever reached the ship's railing. A set of hands pulled me up, guided me. A rope was placed in my hands. Jump and lift your legs. The voice was Ushnik, leading me to safety. I swung back to the bell, landing with a plop on my arse. A bucket of seawater was dumped upon me before one of my Marines gave an assessment of the wounds. 2 crimson lacerations were quickly stitched closed. I was alive, just barely. I did not thank Ushnik. Instead, I wondered why he aided my return. Politics makes strange bedfellows, that and common enemies.
Now I'm going to go ahead and play this on. Play on, no foul. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1 card and 1 card only on repulsing. It could be a good card, it could be a bad card, it could be a card just to get me out of the way. Let's see what's going to happen here. 1 card of repulsing. What we want it to be is just a card that's sort of meaningless, that has a result for success but no result for failure. Here goes my card. Am I still ignoring kings, queens, knights, and knaves, treating as 10s? No, that was for the individual fighting in duels. Here comes a card. It is a 3. It is a 3. Let's read the 3. The 3 is going to be, I'm wounded. Oh, I should check that little wounded mark. Grab my little thing here. I am now wounded. And as I am wounded, I will take my 3, dodge a falling piece of shattered spar. Fail and knocked unconscious. I would say probably fail and captured for digressions. Regardless, the player's ship also suffers speed factor. It's 10 and dashing. I am dashing. 3 dice of a 10 are going to go off to digressions. And it is a 16.
There was not much left of the other vessel. Anything we managed to salvage was simply in desperation to patch our own damaged ship. The fire on Belle was put out, but she was hobbled with 1 wonky mast. Despite our best efforts, it snapped under tension and fell, just short of decapitating me. The devil was laughing. In Cutlass, a second vicious wound before recuperation. You'd be dead. Belle's deck seemed glazed with sand. As debris was swept overboard, piles of ash and scorched sailcloth, I inspected a larger shard of this glass. Slight rose tint. Did the fire ship have a cargo? Bottles? Unlikely. Ushnik brought me a larger piece he found, an intact bottom with the emboss of Nantes. There's a glasswork there, owned by the Archbishop. Might not mean anything. The enemy may have just purchased the bottles. No, some of the glass is irregular, bubbles and discards. Ushnik stated he apprenticed there. The fragments are collected and typically melted back down. That scupper had several barrels out on deck, placed aboard and set to explode as projectiles. Against all flags, our enemies grow more heinous by the minute.
I am away. The ship is a little bit badly broken up. We've lost a speed factor. If we were 4, we're 3 now. The enemy's actions to change condition. We don't worry about that. The aftermath. Battle round. Took about 3-4 rounds. and we were fighting maybe 5 or 6 men. So that was probably 1 or 2 of our sailors and Marines were killed in that engagement, and we did not technically win it because the fire ship broke into flames. So there was no booty that we could take. There was no ship to take as a prize. There was no sailors to rescue. We just completed that ship battle, and we lost a few men. I'm going to keep a rough tally that there was a 25, and I think they probably 23 versus 25. Me and them. I took both of those losses off of me because I was the one that took some damage as well.
Those calculations would just be a tally for Ushnik's loyalists and my own Marines. We would still have our own vested interests and rivalries, yet now we shared a common desire for revenge, simple payback. That scale must balance.
I am injured, and I will continue this game injured. Now, if you're playing in a longer campaign with a group of players, it's no fun really to play injured and worry about every action you're going to take. It's no fun to die unless your character's supposed to use high level. At this point, I could swap Henri out and play like that second of command for a little bit. But I'm just going to continue to play him. And if this is the events that'll take his life, well, it was a short video series, wasn't it? All right, so let's continue where we're left off in the sense that we have faced that process server. We checked an ignoble, but it actually turned out to be a fire ship that we were fighting. And so I am still in phase A and flipping cards. I got to get out of phase A before that death warrant comes off of me. And it is a 6. Now a 6 is a 6-3. It's not in phase, that 6. And that 6-3 is going to be a cup followed by a 3 of coins, followed by a cup, a coin, and a cup. A coin and cup is at my own vessel, and an encounter number 3 is the cargo. So something about our cargo. Hey, I'm loaded up with Descopus wool containers as well. That's an interesting observation. That's probably why Descopus was interested in me taking a boatload over to Saxony. They're going to smuggle wool from probably Carpathia into the Bavarian Republic here, of the Confederation of Bavaria, through Saxony. So now I know the cargo is actually being smuggled by somebody else.
I entered the hold and saw Ushnik and most of his followers opening casks. The exploded ship had damaged our waterline, and many of his Masonic barrels tumbled, cracked, and now lay sopping up the leaking ocean. I instructed him to just dry them out on deck. The Russian felt obliged to warn me not to get involved. The nobility will slice off your balls if they catch us with untaxed cargo. He laughed a bit. I'd never seen him do that. Well, I'm doomed to hang. He laughed again. The die was running and fading such brilliant colors, vanity for the upper class. These were high-quality goods. A few of the sailors scowled as they passed the contents aloft. I make no claim. Sans moi affaire. No concern of mine. I feel for your loss, though. Ushnik took me aside. I expected the obligatory threat. Nantes is right there on shore. No moon tonight.
Does that give me a check of conflict of arms, battles, and strategy? No, it doesn't. I have to get off the boat for that. And to make that happen, I'm going to say that I reached Nantes, and I'm going to go ashore at Nantes. I'm going to force an event that's going to get me that conflict of arms because I want that level. All right, here we go. Going ashore, conflict of arms, going up a level, if we can get it. So we're going to go ashore, and we're going to raid the town of Nantes with some of our Marines at night.
Should we fire on Nantes port? There's a light fog for cover. We'll have a better chance of hitting something than they will have sighting us. Yet I knew the effect would be random, not targeted. Ushnik surmised the garrison would launch flares and sight by our cannon flashes. I had never bombarded ashore. Ushnik obviously had. The glassworks was near enough to the coast and built only in the last 50 years outside the main garrison town. We should shell it. We had one pot mortar we could tilt to toss petards. That, too, may only be superficial. We will fire from sea and draw the response to shore. A second attack must be made by land. Breach the sidewall with cannon and set the place on fire. That would be satisfying. I saw my role. I'll take the lighter guns ashore with my Marines. Ushnik, you handle the ship and the distraction. The master of sails nodded. A thought occurred. He could just leave, sail away and not return. But I'd still be in reasonable condition, close to my objective and with allies. The Belle needed dry dock. She was Ushnik's ship, after all, it seemed, in all but owner registry. He may even follow the plan and be there on the north side coast to retrieve us. I wish we had some horses. Maybe we can capture some. Now here is where the cinematic elements of Cutlass occur. To unload cannon would be an undertaking. To fashion carriages and extract the barrels from the gun deck with winches, it's all rather fanciful that could occur in a single evening. Yet don't let real-life tedium get in the way of old-fashioned fun. If you need a reference, watch an Errol Flynn movie like Captain Blood. Panache is more entertaining than weighing portions of salt pork.
Now we're going to use what? A small arms action? No, we're actually going to form ranks and fire. I'm going to take one card here, looking to disorder an opponent, and we're going to take our guys ashore, and we are going to be artillery versus, is it cavalry coming at us? Well, we could call it cavalry. We could call it some of Gabriel's men coming at us. Why not? So cavalry. So I'm going to go to the bloody clash tables, and I'm going to take a card under cavalry charge. Nope. Hold position? Nope. Artillery? Let me find a table that I'm looking for before I go through here. Bloody Clash Cavalry. Bloody Clash Infantry. And it is hold versus cavalry, hold versus infantry. Hold versus cavalry. Has some ugly, ugly results from that.
We stopped and shared a meal, mostly uncooked oats. I tried to break the tension, perhaps unsuccessfully. In Nantes, a farmer did feed, quite oddly, on unplanted seed. Within the first hour, his prick came to flower. Now his balls are a tangle of weeds. We were spotted and attacked. Here come the forces of our rival. Coursing out of the fog, almost dream state slow. Magnificent, the braided and bedazzled horses exhaling a cloud of steam. The riders wore the uniforms of the King's Horse Guards, dark orange with mere glints of light off the buttons and buckles. That company should be 100 mounted. We were a quarter that, a fifth. My mind only imagined the foes straightening arms and backs, forming a line, bracing for the order to charge. Do we question why the troopers were here? Is it more than happenstance? More foul luck? I would forgo self-pity and ready instead to inflict my dollop of slaughter.
And so we're going to go ahead and just shell the town at night. Now we could do it from our boat, but again, I want a conflict of alarms. So while we also shell it from the boat, I'm going to take a second contingency of light guns and shell it from the shore. Make it think it's being attacked by the Russians. I have no love lost for those Russians anyway. And so I'm going to flip one card, a bloody clash, on the hold position, and here come the cavalry that are out to attack me. Hold position versus cavalry. It sounds like a hopeless situation. Well, it could be. Let's see what that result is. And we got the Magician card. Yes, no, maybe. The battle plan is executed poorly. Of course not. Until the deck reshuffles, treat kings, queens, and knights as knaves. Ugh.
I could hear the distant guns of the Belle. Ushnik was on plan. My burden, less so. My Marines were not as stalwart as I do not fault them. They were not a formed unit. Most were probably discharged after injury or deserted. No telling where Baron Leo acquired these foundlings. I was so intent on checking Ushnik that I didn't drill with them enough. I had no clear second in command. There was no assignment of gun stations. We struggled to get the caissons opened and the guns unlimbered and turned. Horse guards were coming. We were not of that caliber.
Time to maybe flee this battle. Let's see, we've got that card at real card in 8. It's not going to be anything. It's going to be moot. Let's get my hold position versus cavalry. And hold position versus cavalry. I keep saying that as I'm flipping pages in my book and finding in my PDF. Hold versus cavalry 7, hold versus cavalry in 8. The men start to retreat from the opponent's fury. Inspire them with promises of loot and bonus pay. Fail and company must rally. Player loses 4d8 soldiers, a 14 briber. Let's see if I can make a 14 on 2 dice. Huh. So I'm going to use my make roll here. It is for a level. And I will get another one. I just said I had to take only one card. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and use my make roll here. By using my make roll, I automatically don't pick up any swaggering. I could save it and use the card for a rally, but I could end up in digressions. Nope, I'm going to go ahead and use my make roll here. and I'm going to check that last conflict of arms. And I took my 1 card to bombard the town of Nantes. And after bombarding the town of Nantes, I can get back on my vessel and abscond. I did not fail and had to rally. And the player loses 48 soldiers if I had to rally. But I did rally them with promises of loot and the use of my make roll.
Bastards need to fight as bastards would. We did have that one advantage. We were mercenary. Those champions were fighting for a nod at court or an extra bauble to hang on dress uniform. Some were seventh sons of absentee noblemen, unable to inherit, and set off to a life of preening and eventual sacrifice. My lads were in this for gold. Those dolts were money, each and every one. Every prisoner was a bounty. Best of all, we need not even run the scam. We could hand them over to the bearded pirates of the Brussels Isles. Could be worth a doubloon per prisoner. That and their coats were nice. I'd worn one, warm. Sell those in Bavaria. Boots too. Sabers and pistols, all worth a bag of shillings. Me hearties, steady. Those are not the fleet of Gallop Ansbach. Those are not the hardened Spaniards. Those are men who duel only with cocks. Court roosters crowing for attention. That force is nothing but a treasure chest rolling to us. Bring them down. We'll sell the horses. Knock them out. We'll wear their feathered hats as crowns. Be poor no more. After tonight, our bellies will be sated with richer men's brandy, and our belts will jangle with each step from a full purse. What truly aided us was a mistake. I hoped Gabriel would hear of this, or was the man in charge. The enemy looked at us as mere skirmishers. He had no idea this was all we fielded. He broke his force into several smaller detachments. These he sent wide, far afield, circling, trying to locate our main body in the darkness. We were as unadorned as chimney sweeps. They were the ones that shone like candle-filled Christmas trees. As the main body hunted, we faced the first small, weak clash of riders. Then, we readied our guns and fired on each wandering force as it approached. Canister shot, close range, a horror, terrible the injuries and glorious the insult to what was once living souls. Few prisoners were taken, many bled out in the dark, calling for wives and lovers and their mothers. My Marines seemed content to survive with souvenirs to flaunt and wave at Ushnik's sailors. Gabriel could not have ruined a fine unit of Horde's guards any worse. His reward would be to have assigned another 100. By the end, the cavalry routed or rode tens of miles of pointless search. My force could continue with the plan to breach the wall and burn the glassworks. Revenge.
And we're going to go down into phase A, continuing, but I went up to level 2. And I'm going to quickly take some advance here of going up to level 2. Make sure I get some of my advancement, ignoble deeds, skills, and leveling. And when I go to level 2, I'm going to get 2 make rolls, and I'm going to get 1 more skill. And I'm going to look at my skills here, and I think I'm going to take that rabble rouser because it's come up a number of times. So I'm going to grab rabble rouser, or it was briber last time. Do I want to be a briber? Rabble rouser sounds like more something that I want. So I'm going to grab that rabble rouser there, and I'm also then going to go up to level 2, which gives me 2 make rolls, of which I've already used 1, so I got 1 make roll, and I'm level 2. This is my time where I should have gotten the smaller pen. And I'm still a gentleman, although I'm on a ship now. I'm level 3. I should say I'm social position 3, commander of a ship, if it's needed. Or is it a 4? Yeah, 4 is commander of a ship. I think a 2 is just commander of company. But 2, characters level. Wonderful, wonderful. How do I get more swaggering? Only by playing the game.
Ushnik was on time. The sailors even gave us a satisfied nod. We clambered back aboard, chuckling at the distant fires of Nantes glassworks. Be nice if the loot was better, but I counted our blessings and scant injuries. I had Ushnik interrogate a few of the lordly prisoners we took. I wanted those French nobles to think we were all part of the Russian Navy, leave them the impression this whole was a Russian organized raid. The hardest part of selling that ploy was to get my good fellow to wear a proper shirt as he barked his orders. I loaned Ushnik one of mine. Not sure how he managed to return it in tatters. I did understand the blood stain on the cuff.
All right, back to the old world here, still in phase A, flipping a card. And we got ourselves a 5. It is a 5-8. So it's going to be a rod coin encounter number 3. A rod coin encounter number 3. Now, rod and coin encounter number 3 is a military vessel comes by, posing as a merchant. It's probably a type of battle that we see on the coastline. And I'm looking at the coastline here, and it's probably part of that convoy, that continued movement of ships and men from Liechtenstein to Carpathia back and forth. There's probably some sort of action related to it because it's too far away from the Sea of Brussels to be mere pirate stuff. And we can just observe this and move on, or I can get involved with it. If I get involved with it, I can check ignobles. Well, guess what? We want to check the ignobles of prizes and engagements. So we're going to fire. We got ships aboard. We're going to choose a side here. Now, do I want to fire at the ships of Liechtenstein? Of course I want to fire at the ships of Liechtenstein. Let me go ahead and go over to the table here and look at my battles, my barrages. And I'm going to count my barrage cards. Okay, I'm going to count the number of barrage cards, and I have a total of... Am I a cog or am I a galley? Am I a galleon? I am a galley. I mean a caravel, so I don't start with anything naturally, but I have bonuses for being a swashbuckler? No. Lordly? No. Cunning? Yes. Pirate vessel? Too. Are they elite? No. Is it overgunned in any way? Is there some sort of deception that I could do? Let me think. I'd have 2 barrage cards. I could pick up the third one with a deception. They're not expecting us to come in, so I could probably change the flag on my vessel to that of Russian and or a more neutral party. We probably, if we don't have a Russian flag, we probably have both a Russian and a Dutch flags because they're just neighbors here, and so people would keep souvenirs or just have them aboard and would just pretend to be a Russian ship, intermingle, and fire. 3 barrage cards. I'm going to take 3 barrage cards looking for a hit and a kill on a galleon. If I don't, I'm going to have to further escalate this battle.
Now this would actually be pretty common and easy. Ships often would send over launches to each other and exchange even just mail. Trades were made and gifts exchanged between patrol vessels of 2 nations. They would warn each other of naval hazards, shoals, wrecks, or storms. Nations go to war, but captains know the sea is a shared, vengeful mistress. We had probably done this already, hailed a craft and sent our horse guard prisoners off to a broker. Off camera, so to speak. You don't need to dice every piss break in the life behind the story. The only reason to keep sundry loot around is for the plot point. Here, we would request parley and then open fire. It was an ugly affront to civilized lands. Very ignoble. Now, ships at sea signal with flags, most of you know that. They also had teeny tiny cannon, actually cute, but loud to boom a signal. The flag ploy is time-honored. There probably would be dozens of other indicators to make that implausible, but let's just run with it. Again, cinematic. By attacking the ship so close to the attack on Nantes, this works well to enhance the ploy and obfuscate our involvement. The Papist ship would likely be Russian, crew and origin. The Russian ambassador in Paris would be lodging a formal complaint against the crown for loss of vessel, piracy. The French would be using their diplomats to accuse the Tsar of attacking across the border at Nantes. Both kings would be dismissive, but both courts would be in a tizzy over the conflict. We then avoid the greater crimes as characters. A nice border war would foster more adventures as well. Slather on the large conflict and you let your PC slide between major actions beyond their control. At the highest levels, you can even have them general or admiral the whole shebang to a resolution. All words to the wise for any ref.
So, each of my barrage cards, really what I was looking for is cups, but they can't be inverted cups since I'm shooting at galleons. For galleon victims, if the card is inverted, treat instead as a coin. But with accumulated coin losses, I could also sink that ship. Now, here's the way this works. I am level 2. If I flip aces and 2s, Those are good. Those are actual maneuvers that I can execute effectively. If I flip face cards, those are good, because those are maneuvers I can execute. If I flip the other cards, it counts as outright missing. Now, this is a shortcut system. There are more elaborate systems of doing ship-to-ship that are in the later books. But here, let's go through this one. Here is my first card of barrage. I have 3 because of my ploy. And I have got myself a 3 of rods. I could have knocked the sails off that enemy ship and perhaps picked up an extra barrage card. But it's a 3 and I am not level 3.
I missed a chance to hit the enemy mast. I was a bit slow with my order to open fire. I may have calculated the range wrong. This was all by sight, and to a degree I was a novice. Not that I would tell anyone that. As far as the crew was concerned, I had sunk 100 foes.
First shot, miss. Second barrage card coming. A knight. It's a knight of rod, and it's a hit. So a rod is going to represent sail damage. The opposing ship will lose a point of speed.
That next broadside was well sighted and true. We took an enemy mast. The crack, as it split and fell, sent a chill up my spine. All the yards on a ship are there in balance to keep the masts erect. Lines are tightened and loosened constantly in response. Cut a few ropes unnaturally or weaken the upright, and the mere tension of the wind will cause the mast to fall. Then it's an awful tangle of snap posts and thick coils. I could hear the men below cheer. Winning this action would raise trust. I even hoped to build a camaraderie of one combined Bell's ship crew.
And because it loses a point of speed here, I probably then increased my speed and my maneuverability, so that second shot gives me a second shot back. I now have 2 more shots at it. Here comes my third card of 4. And it is a 9 of swords. Well, that would have been grape shot all over the deck, but not very many people are level 9.
I saw the ocean ripple with the spray of grape shot. We were both too far apart and had a strong ship to battle. Loading that was a waste. Someone below panicked and felt we were about to be boarded. Doubt it was Ushnik. He was aloft, calling out range to target based on a silhouette of the enemy vessel set against a calibrated rod he held positioned by sight along the horizon. How he steadied his hand, held outward, in the sheets above the surf was a skill I needed to master. Get those cannons swabbed and ready. Double your balls, we need impact. The enemy was returning fire, but it was off angle. I kept us as much as possible upwind and on her aft. She could rotate, but we had speed to cross paths. That advantage would not last forever.
And here comes my next card, last card, and it's a High Priestess. What happened in the High Priestess? It says, the player may opt to select any minor card from the discard pile for his attack. I would like to get a cup that will effectively, let's see if I can effectively go through. And my debt generator just went out on me. Knight, a rod, a 5, a rod, a 6 of cups, I'm not level 6. A world card, a 3 of cups, I'm not a 3 of cups. It wasn't inverted. A 4 of cups, I'm not level 4. I'm running out of cards. 7 of cups, Ace of cups, King of coins, 2 of cups. I am level 2. And there is a 2 of cups in the discard pile. I used that 2 of cups to sink the enemy ship.
Keep pounding her waterline. The enemy was crippled and would eventually sink. By evening, the currents would break that hull in half. Their captain struck his colors, cutting his flag to fall wafting down into the blue shallow water. He waved and pointed, showing that he left the paymaster's coin box midship. We would not fire on his longboats, allowing those survivors to row off in the direction of shore. Small courtesy let him go. The enemy captain might have been more generous. He did flee, taking with him the second most valued item aboard, the physician's chest of drugs. His wounded were many. We came aside and boarded the hulk to claim our reward, a quick hunt for anything else from the munitions, provisions, and sparse cargo before abandoning the vessel, fully floundered and sinking. It would rest on the bottom, a new hazard for passing captains report to each other. Avoid here. The tide would shift the wreck about, making the spot unpredictable and eventually garnering a name. X marks the spot of the maiden slap on my own charts. We had won, but the Belle was near dire in her need for dry dock. I and Ushnuk knew we had better find a place for major and minor repairs. Luckily, we were coming up on the river between Russia and France. We'd find a tributary along that thoroughfare. How far we could travel before we'd be forced to shed weight to keep from scraping the bottom was anyone's guess. I hope Ushnuk's contact to deliver the Daskopus wool arrived long before I would have to abandon my ship's cannon. That dilemma would most likely restart our feud.
That is a glorious act. And I already checked before I even went into this, the fact that I checked my sea engagements. But I have sunk a ship from Liechtenstein by pretending to be part of a Russian ally in this whole thing. Let me go back to where I should be on the deck here. High Priestess, and the next card will be the card that I actually will get. We are still in Phase A. We've had just a few of the encounters, and as we continue in Phase A, we're going to flip a card, see if we can get out of Phase A. I still got that Death Warrant coming at me, and I got the Judgment card. Now this would be a Judgment card in encounters. So let's read the encounters. Says, a Judgment encounters, the players have the option to change the setting to King's Highway or Sea Lanes. Yeah, I probably want to do a King's Highway. How about if we get up to this bridge here? And for a moment, I'm going to go into taverns.
We all deserved a break. We found a small town. I wasn't sure if it was on the Russian side, the French side, or even in Bavaria. The town itself was far away from lords and masters and dedicated to frolic, a trading hub that didn't ask many questions. Was this Ushnuk's drop-off? No, sadly no. Too unreliable for Daskopus. But it was a good place to let the crew out to spend some shared profits. I, for one, asked the first person I met for direction to a brothel. He pointed down at my feet on the road. Tile arrows were set in the pavement to direct sailors and bargemen to that lane. How industrious, reminded me of Ephesus. I skipped along as I rushed to be the next in line. I afforded myself some creatured comfort. I purchased a hot tub and had several women in succession come and attend before selecting a prime partner for my liaison. Today I had need for the thinnest of waif. Mind the wound, woman. I wrestled her down onto her back. She wanted to hump me atop to quick conclusion, but I was hopeful for something slow, spooning with sporadic undulation. Pour me ale, darling. I thought I saw a curtain shift. Wind, hardly. But was it someone checking if the room was empty, that I had finished? Or was this part of the menu, letting some rotund aristocrat pay to watch fornication? How droll. I should have stayed on ship, perhaps invited some company to my cabin. Of course, the person concealing themselves is an assassin. This damn first phase of adventure needs to end. We're going to go and get off the vessel. I'll leave the vessel into my second in command, the NPC, to have it, and I'm going to take a tavern over in Russia, or maybe on the French side, maybe the Russian side, who knows, and I'm going to take the next encounter as if it's on land, because if I look at my character sheet here, there's a lot of things that are going on that the next encounter on land, since I already have that mutiny in actions to see, a land encounter would be good. More later.